All right, today I want to talk about how to help a child fall in love with reading again. So, have you ever had one of your children or one of your students look at you and say, like, I don't like reading? Before you panic, all my book lovers out there, all of you who have spent countless nights staying up late because you could not put that book down. You even said, okay, I'm going to finish this one chapter and go to bed. Like, yeah, right. When does that ever happen? So, if one of your children or if one of your students starts to have that dialogue with you, it's time for you to pause and it's time for you to really to listen to them of what they're saying behind that I don't like reading. Because sometimes a child doesn't hate reading, they could just really be tired or their focus might be on something else in that moment. And it's just really hard for them to kind of sit and get engaged in a mental task because they might just be wiped out. Okay. Children go through a lot, and we need to recognize that they have those types of, you know, human emotions too, to where sometimes we may not feel like reading and we might just want to like go outside, take walks, or play a game, or watch a show, and we don't have the book in our hand. So sometimes it's best to just pause and just kind of start asking some nudging questions because they just might be tired. Sometimes they just may be frustrated because the reading levels that they have been given just either might not challenge them in an appropriate way, or it might be too challenging and their confidence as a reader diminishes. So we have to really look at matching our readers to the text that are best for them. And sometimes that can feel like a lot of work, but it's so worth it if we can bring back that love of reading again. So don't give up. Like, do not grow weary. Trust me, do not grow weary. You know, that Bible verse. Like, let's stick with this, guys, because their reading lives matter. And I'm going to champion the power of books for the rest of my life. I've done it my entire life. And so it's not work, it's not pressure, it's not just another assignment to get through. It is to find the joy within the pages. And I would tell my kids this all the time. So I have worked with a lot of different readers. And there had been times when I would say, well, you just haven't found the right story yet. And they would just kind of say, I don't know about that. But they trusted me enough to continue to keep trying. I'm going to give you guys an example. And I reached out to Kwame Alexander about this too. And I sent him a photo of a student. So I'm not going to tell you what district, or I will tell you it was ninth grade. And I was working with students. And of course, we're doing silent sustained reading. We're doing book love. Thank you, Penny Kittle. Thank you, Kelly Gallagher. And I have a book cart in my room that I would load up library books on. And then I had my personal collection of favorites that were right there for them that they could go through. And a student would say, I'm not reading. And he would put his head down. And I gave him that 15 minutes because maybe he was tired. I don't know what happened last night. Maybe he just was not in that headspace, that focus to be able to do it. Next day, I'd say, it's time to pick a book. I'm not reading. I'm not reading. Everybody around him was picking books, talking about their books, excited about what they were reading, or dropping books because I give people the permission to drop a book if they don't like it, because I wouldn't read anything I don't like, right? So I gave my students permission. So he got to see the freedom in that. And he also ultimately got to see the choice. And I'm going to talk a little bit about choice later and why that's really important if we're trying to help children fall in love with books again. So I was like, okay, I've got to do something here. So then I started thinking of books based on what I was learning about the student, because this was a new class. I was having to learn all of my children. And I'm like, okay, I know I've heard him say this. So now I know the perfect book for him. And I went and I grabbed the crossover. But I didn't give that one to him right away. I started trying to like pitch other books to him. And finally I was like, okay, look at this one. And I opened it up so he could see the free verse, that he could see the novel in verse. And he could see that the pages weren't crowded. He could go ahead and just check in before checking out. So he said, look at that. And I said, look at the cover. Just try this one. Can you try this one? And I handed him my copy of Kwame's book, Kwame Alexander, who wrote the crossover. And I will tell you, I didn't get that book back. That book became his book. He would not give it back. He said, this is my book. It's mine. He read it. And then he went and he trusted me for more. And then he tried some different horror books and some thrillers. He was going after books now, whereas before he put his head down. And so sometimes we don't know where kids are coming in with. Maybe it was a frustration. Maybe it was a chore for him. Maybe he just didn't have the right book. Like he just hadn't found it yet. And maybe he didn't have anybody as persistent as me saying, we're doing this. We're going to do this. Let's try this one with a smile and not giving up on his reading life, because I know how much that can save a life. So sometimes they just haven't found the right book yet. So you got to start with a conversation. Don't just push it off. So if a kid is saying to you, I don't like reading, now you're having a conversation. You're checking on their emotional state. You're finding out where their headspace is right now. You're also finding out where their interests are. So one of my tips, when I would take my students to the library and we would do a library tour, I would get the librarian to take us through and show us all of the different sections. And we would just spend time in each one, pulling books, reading blurbs, having them read the first pages. And we just put them back, just low stakes. We're just kind of checking out these books and just seeing how like different authors' voices are ringing true. And if one rings true for you, maybe that's one you want to check out and try. And I would have my students always check out 2 books, because you never know. You might drop one and you got one right there in the reserves. Like you got a wingman right there. So you got a book. So no excuses. That I had books in my classroom, of course, as you know, my personal collection of books that mostly walked out the door. And I didn't mind a bit. So when you're having a conversation with kids, you can ask them, what's their interest? Like, what shows are you watching right now? What are you binging? What movies do you love? Give me your top 5 list. What games are you playing? What anime are you watching? What characters do you remember about books maybe when you were in middle school or elementary school? What books did you love? What were some of the things about the books that you loved or the characters that you loved? Because those answers can give you clues on kind of where to guide students next. And your librarian is going to be your best friend, because you're not going to know every single book, right? Well, you might, yeah. But there's going to be so many books that are going to be right at children's fingertips, and you need a connector. You need a networker, and your librarian is golden. So you can find out interest. Then you can say, oh, Miss Librarian, oh, Miss Carrie Ann, guess what? This kid loves watching animal documentaries. He says they help him just feel peaceful, and he falls asleep with the sounds of the narrators, and he loves it. He loves learning about nature. So then that kid is being whisked away magically on a magic carpet ride through the library to the nonfiction section, so we can hopefully pique their interest about sharks. And oh, plug, we just watched Deep Waters. That movie made us cry. Like, what's up with the shark attack movie? And it was horror, thriller. Oh my gosh, those characters I loved. I loved Cora. Like, this movie was so good. Okay, digress. So see, now you know. Now, am I going to go and get a shark book? Probably not. But I have read about a bull shark coming in the ocean, from the ocean into brackish waters. And I read that with a kid. So I love that book. And I've read other books that have, animals and nature. And I love that. But I'm not going to know all the books out there. Just because and I can't even remember the name of that book that I read. Y'all can put it in the comments. It's that series. Oh my gosh. Like, I survived the shark attack. That one. I wish I had it somewhere. It's at work on my bookshelf special, because I read it with a student over a summer ESY experience for, I'll never forget it. Makes me a better teacher. So I kept that book as a testament. So anyway, books are there for our kids in so many different genres that we have to start asking those questions and they can give us clues. Because if they love animals, then we're going to find an animal book about a brave dog that hopefully they don't die, a main character who maybe cares deeply for animals, or animals that talk, one of my favorite pieces to read. Come on, can we not give shout outs to The Rats of NIMH or The Trumpet of the Swan, Stuart Little? Let me think of more books that I absolutely love. Oh gosh, I could just go on and on. I love animals talking. Maybe they love funny shows. Like maybe they need a little bit of humor in their life. And that's okay to pull back. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, if they need that right now, because we've got to capture a feeling of emotion as they're holding the book and bring back maybe that nostalgia. Maybe they need a Percy Jackson because they read it in fifth grade and they absolutely loved it. And then that kid is representative of them because he has dyslexia. So I'm saying right now, don't hold back when you're trying to create joy. You could go to books that they loved and remembered. Esperanza Rising, one of my students told me that was their favorite book and they wish that they had it. I was at like Habitat. Guess what I found? Esperanza Rising. Grabbed it. Had a book for her. One of my boys, oh my gosh, he loved Warrior Cats. And then I just happened to go, guess what? Warrior Cats. Grabbed it. Put it on my shelf. Now, would they take it? Maybe, yes. But they knew that I heard them. And then I went and I explored and I found the books. I thrifted them and I brought them back and I added them to my classroom shelves. So their history around books became our books. One of my students, Victoria, she told me how much she loved Stella Luna. So guess what? We all sat around on the floor. And that sweet girl, she read Stella Luna to us. And we're sitting there, high school students, and her face was pure joy reading to her friends in class because she wanted to show them that emotional attachment that she had to that book and it carried with her forever. So maybe they need funny ones. Maybe they like funny shows or comedians. Maybe they need graphic novels and comics. Maybe they love superheroes and they need a champion in a book. The goal is not to force a kid on a book that you might like. It's to force a kid into a space, though. Get them in that space and just kind of guide them to places that they may like. So that's my tip about the guidance piece because you can't, you can force a book to a kid. Like you can say, we're all reading this and we're reading it because Fahrenheit's one of my favorite books and we're reading it. Or, we're grabbing this off because this is a part of what we have to read. But when it comes time to choice reading, like think about finding them the doorway, that access for them that helps them want to step back into reading. Like the next time they have an opportunity to grab a book, they won't just go sit at the middle table in the library or one of those really cool couches. Don't y'all love how libraries look today? Like phenomenal. But we want them with a book in their hand too. We want them to relax and feel good in that space and then check one out before they leave. So the goal is to find that doorway. So let's go searching for clean reads that match those styles and genres and themes because I'm going to say family values are needed, value-based books are needed. So I'm saying clean reads for our kids always because you've got to feel good about the content that you're putting in the hands of kids too because now they're looking to you as a mentor. So you're a reader champion, right, to them. Like you love books. And when you're sharing your reads, think about what you're sharing to them. So I would often walk around, it's on my shelf. Sorry, I gotta get it. Okay. I would walk around with this book, as you can see. It's very sticky noted. with my Philippians bookmark. And so for me, being quiet and slow is being, see, I'm quiet and I'm slow, is being myself. And that is my gift. Oh, Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers. The Simple Faith of Mr. Rogers. And I would walk around in class and I would read this book. And oftentimes when I would find a little spot, I might kneel down to a kid and just point and let them read maybe a sentence or a line, and then I keep walking. So I made sure that the books that I chose were age appropriate, something of value, of true worth that they could associate. So my students knew I love Mr. Rogers. I have, his books, and I'm going to walk around. And I absolutely love this one from Amy Hollandsworth. Like, this was one of my all-time favorites. If you've never read it, grab it. So I talked with you about this earlier. I talked to you about the Kwame Alexander experience, but now he didn't have a choice of that. I was still just pitching. But another important piece to help children like build that, just that innate love for reading, is to let them choose and let them have the power to drop. Choose and drop when if that voice doesn't match their need. So choice builds ownership. You can go out there and find tons of voice and choice out in the learning spaces and environments. And UDL, Universal Design for Learning, talks about autonomy and choice. When children feel like they have a choice in what they read, reading becomes less of a battle. It becomes more of an invitation. Trust me. And we are trying to build joy. And I don't know about you, but when I just got an invitation to serve on a committee at one of my colleges that I love, that I went to school with, that invitation brought me such great joy. Invitations include us, make us feel wonderful. We want the positive emotion around books. So let them choose. Another one. All right. This is for my homeschool folks. Now, I'm going to tell y'all how this worked for me, and I'm also going to tell you how this worked in my classroom. You can also read aloud. You can. Your voice, not like push play, go sit down and ignore the world. And no. Experience with reading with your learners. So you can also read aloud, even with older children. And we did what we called the train. And I have taught my students this. Oh my gosh, for so many years, I would draw a janky looking train on the board because I'm not like here I am drawing train and all of the box cars and the caboose. Of course, the engine is me because I'm leading this classroom. Jen's name is going on there. So Miss Lowry's name is on the engine. And then kids are going and putting their names in. And that became our read aloud train for that day. And that was before we even started reading. That was as they were walking in the classroom. They saw that empty train caboose up there and the train. They knew that we were going to have a read aloud experience in that class and that they needed to come up to that board if they felt ready, if they were ready to try to read out loud. Even with the older children, this worked. 9th grade, y'all, this worked. So sometimes in homeschool too, we may start reading aloud too soon. And I will say that my experiences with my boys when I homeschooled, and y'all know that I took them all the way through until they graduated, we were side-by-side readers and we experienced books together. So we're reading The Lord of the Rings together, and I'm reading a page of The Hobbit and my sons are reading a page of The Hobbit, and we flip. I read, they read. I read, they read. We did this the entire time. We had a shared reading experience, and I would not change that for the world. And when we were doing the homeschool conference, I texted my boys because they're outgrown men living their best lives. And I texted them and I said, What is it that you remember the most about homeschool? And what would be some positive memories that I could share at this conference that I'm going to go speak at? And of course, Sam says, The Wind in the Willows, Mama. I love that we read that together. And of course, The Lord of the Rings. Okay, come on, my baby, my baby. You guys can go back and look at my channel and you can see Jen and Sam. You can see my teenage Sam, my baby Sam, all the way through. He loved to make videos. He loved talking about books. That's a special place in his heart. And so, The Wind in the Willows, even as a teenager, it cracked him up. And yes, it was a lower Lexile. And yes, we were reading complex narratives. And he had all the Brandon Sanderson books. And he was reading a lot. But we went back to The Wind in the Willows when he was in high school just because we missed it. And I don't know how we missed it. Oh my gosh, I love that book so much. And so did he. So I asked my other son, and it was the trips that we took. It was the experiences that we had. It was Jamestown and Williamsburg, and it was our homeschool Saturdays when we went out and about and went to museums and experienced, just community. And I will tell you, reading was involved all there too. And my son continues to go to the library to this day and checks out a hoard of books, a hoard of books. So reading aloud with your homeschool children, even your teenagers, can become a very special time and a great memory. And it allows you to slow down. It allows you to pause, and you can blame it on homeschooling. So win-win. So before we say, this kid just doesn't like reading, or this kid does not want to pick up a book for anything, maybe we start asking questions and having real authentic conversations with how are they feeling? What kind of book could help this child feel seen? Because reading confidence grows when children feel safe, they feel good, if they feel successful, and most importantly, if they feel understood. So at Monarch, we believe that a right story can open up a child's mind, a child's heart to a reading space, and can just give them a hope and a values-based experience that is going to carry forth with them when they go. So check out Monarch Books, because I pray, because y'all, I vetted these books, I picked these books. These authors are fantastic, amazing. Or we wouldn't have Monarch, right? So I pray that our books are entertaining, thought-provoking, strong, just on point books for your children, for your families, for your adult readers. How can we get adults read again? Same concept as what we just went through here. So we're always learning, we're always growing, and why not pick up Monarch and try it? So it's kind of like green eggs and ham. Try it, see if I am. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please put in the comments some strategies and some successful tips on what has brought reading joy into your classrooms, your libraries, your communities, your homes. I would love for us just to share the Clean Reads mission and talk about why clean reads matter in these environments. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, blessed day. All right, bye guys. See you later.